Good day. This is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth. And we're here talking about so many topics of personal finance. And I thought, what the hey? I'm on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, formerly known as Twitter. And I thought I would have fun. There was this person there that I actually follow called Unusual Whales. And sometimes it just has some really good data that's out there. And I thought there's two that I would want to share with you today. First one is, check this out, 62% of Gen Z, okay, use social media for financial advice. That's per BI, whoever the heck BI is. And then you have 94% of Gen Z want to hit financial independence before 55. Now, for somebody who technically is considered I got this chart up here. Hopefully we could share this chart with our team for those who are on YouTube. But Gen Zs are pretty much people who were born in like the 90s, late 90s. Millennials from 1982, which is right around where I'm born. So I'm technically a millennial. And so us millennials obviously always make fun of Gen Zs, just like how the Gen Xs make fun of the millennials. And of course, the baby boomers who just make fun of everybody in total. So with that being said, I thought it would be cool, gnarly, fun. Why not? We can go through every single one of these generations and see where the mind's at, because when you look at Gen Zs today, everybody's on social media and it's a problem. It's corrupting your mind, right? Well, with millennials, they were saying the same thing, oh, by the way, of computers and internet. Okay. Gen X's, they were saying the exact same thing about video games. And oh, by the way, baby boomers, they were saying the same thing about you with television. So let's all take a step back, because if you really think about this, what are they saying? Oh, did you get all your financial advice, baby boomers, from the TV? Well, okay, some don't think that's crazy. Is social media the new TV? I don't know. It's a form of information. The problem is there's no regulation on it. People can say whatever the hell they want. Oh, but oh, by the way, that was the same thing with the internet, right? People could say and post and have a website and say whatever the hell they want. They've since increased regulation of that. So the whole idea with this whole thing is what, though? It is Gen Zs feel more confident than any generation that they will be able to hit financial security at 55. So I think that's just an important concept to take for one core reason. These group of people are one of the earlier investors that we've ever seen, because it's so easy now to invest with apps like Robinhood and Fidelity and Schwab. It's so easy to set up an account. It's so easy to put your money to work. And you see all these rocket emojis that are out there to the moon, especially with Bitcoin. Hell, you have a lot of them that are actually millionaires, multimillionaires, that now make us feel like we missed the boat. They're investing in things they don't even know that make sense. They just go on these Reddit accounts and posts. Shows you how much I use Reddit, by the way. And they actually follow and invest in these meme stocks for pure nostalgia reasons, from Krispy Kreme donuts to AMC and GameStop. So this whole idea of the confidence of actually achieving your financial goals, there's two sides to that. Number one, they haven't experienced. Imagine being 27 years old. COVID was 5 years ago. You were 22 years old. What did you really experience? That's like when you would really start getting used to investing. And so you really haven't experienced. I teased this the other episode. Oh, I survived COVID. COVID survived COVID. Are you out of your mind? COVID, by the time you got your quarterly statement, it recovered. The markets recovered. It was a 3-month survival? What about a 36-month survival? What about from October 2007 to March of 2009? What about then waiting still and 3 years to break even to where you were from where the market was? What about looking at the dot-com bubble, where you had 3 years in a row, 2000, 2001, and 2002, where, oh, by the way, the market was down double digits every single time? How was investing in the S&P 500 then? How about you continue that conversation from 2000 to 2009, 10 years having your money in the S&P 500, and oh, by the way, losing 10% in that 10-year period. The professional term for that is sucks. That absolutely would suck, wouldn't it? So the recency bias of how you're doing well now, is it truly sustainable for the future? That's the question you have to ask yourself. By the way, folks, if you're just joining, this is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth, here on every weekend. And we are talking about all important topics of personal finance. And we are discussing these fantastic documents here or posts here talking about the confidence of Gen Z. And I will give them credit though. Now I didn't really bash them. I just said, calm down, they're slick. When you're upset with a 20% rate of return that somebody's doing for you, and you're upset because you can do an option contract and try to claim you can get 100% return in 3 months or 3 weeks or whatever. Like, calm down. If you have the huevos to actually put your money where your mouth is and put $1 million trade on that, like let's see how realistic that is. The answer is they're not. They're smart enough to know that they're not going to do that. So we're having fun today, right? So let's continue the conversation. One thing I will say of many about the Gen Zs and the millennials and all these people out there that are always so much smarter than us, right? Always. I got kids. My 10-year-old, she's the smartest girl in the room right now. The idea is what? I will give credit where credit is due. This generation hasn't really freaked out much. Now, they haven't been truly tested, but they haven't freaked out. Quite frankly, they buy more and they say it all the time. And they see this horde mentality with a bunch of people on social media that they follow telling them, oh, by the way, buy more. I don't know what the people posting are doing. They always have these weird names. Nobody knows who they are. They have this weird avatar, but whatever. They're always telling you about their journey. Like, and who's even to say that's right? And they haven't photoshopped that, but whatever. Let's just discuss that they are at least giving good emotional advice to say, chill, calm down. I give credit where credit is due, and that deserves some kudos. Let's continue again. This generation, because it's so easy to invest, they're investing early and often. And some people, which I like a lot, are actually getting addicted to investing. Now, there's another subset of that are getting addicted to trading, day trading. And the problem with that, of course, is what? The problem is on something like that, you are now addicted almost like gambling, where losses and always trying to outperform the market and outsmart the market could significantly hurt. It can hurt your portfolio, it can hurt your bottom line, and quite frankly, it can actually kill you. What do I mean by that? Families have actually been in lawsuits with Robinhood of because kids that were investing, these are legal adults, and they read their statement wrong, thinking they owed $700,000 plus to Robinhood, but they didn't read it correctly. The settlements didn't clear. And because these traders actually misread it and said, "Oh my God, what did I do with my life? I now owe 700,000." They took their own life. Of course, now the family, I'm not sure what happened. I'm sure they settled. I have no idea. It's a very sad, fortunate situation. But this is proof of how smart really are these people. They're following advice, paying for newsletters of unlicensed professionals. If you were that great, why aren't you actually licensed? And if you were, you wouldn't be able to be saying the things that you're saying. So when you look back at certain generations from Gen Z on social media, following these social media financial advisors, which I tease all the time, and I always love, and you can have me comment on it, send it to me to comment on the social media posts, which I do what we call our reaction videos. Send it to radio@falconwp.com. Please do. I would love it. And by doing that, I'm able to comment to say, is it good advice or not? But also know that they're only telling you the winners and they don't normally tell you when to sell. So you have to be very mindful of these social media financial advisors that are out there that, oh, by the way, are unlicensed. And oh, by the way, some of you are actually paying for a newsletter. Like, give me a break. There are some heavy professionals at the Stansberry report, the Jim Cramer report, that people actually pay for those. And those guys are market movers, not these people on Reddit that are unfaced. Where you, what do I mean by that? You don't even know who they are. So just be careful, proceed with caution. But I do give credit that you want to retire by 55 because most people in previous generations didn't start thinking about that till later. The number one reason of failure is procrastination. Procrastination is huge because most 25-year-olds are what? Thinking about partying and what are they going to do on weekends or at night and happy hour. That's what most 25-year-olds do until they get 35. Now they're married. Well, now things are expensive. They got a house payment, a car payment. They don't got time to save for retirement. Now they're 45. Now they're paying for their kids to go to school. Oof, that's expensive too. And maybe now because they're making good money, what do? They maybe upgrade their house or their cars. Now they're 55 years old. Two things happen here. Now they actually start thinking about retirement, number one. And number two, they might have their kids coming back into the house. The boomerang kids that are now living at the house, they now have to support them. And you want to add on top of that, maybe taking care of parents. All of a sudden, you're 65 years old and you're looking around saying, who, what, me? Retirement? Holy smokes. This is the reality, what a lot of people see. I will give kudos to the millennials and to the Gen Zs because they are starting early. But when we come back, we're going to talk more about this phenomenon of confidence and the things that you should be doing to increase your net wealth in a way that actually makes sense and avoid some really bad advice from these social media financial advisors. Be right back after a few words. Welcome back, folks. This is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth. And we're talking about all fun stuff today. And I thought, I'm not picking on Gen Z, they're good people. But I thought, hey, do you actually know what the 9 different generations are starting from 1900? This is crazy. I just literally looked it up right now. It starts with the greatest generation. These are people that are over 100 years old from 1901 to 1927. Then it goes, which is the Great Depression era, it goes the silent generation from 1928 to 1945. So Great Depression to world end of World War II. Then it goes to the baby boomers. My goodness, they were giving birth to about a couple 4.6 kids per. Now we're at 2.1. Oof, I have my own opinions of what's going to happen with real estate for you Gen Zs who say I can never buy a house. So I got some comments there for you. And then we have Gen X. We have, did I say baby boomers? 1946 to 1964. So that's baby boomers, 1946 to 1964. Gen X, 1965 to 1980. Millennial, that's me. Sounds weird saying millennial. I used to make fun of millennials, but I guess I'm a millennial. 1981 to 1996. Gen Z, 1997 to 2012. And then we have Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha. Have you heard of Gen Alpha? That's bizarre. Gen Alpha. So 2013 to 2024. What the hell is Gen Alpha? What a crappy name. So we'll find out what they decide to call themselves or what my generation and Gen Zs end up calling them. But those are all 3 of my kids are Gen Alpha. Then you have Gen Beta, 2025 to 2039. That's insane. So, what does this all mean? Why did I even spend the time to go over that? As I was saying before, you had in the greatest generation, you had the radio. That's how they're getting a lot of information was from the radio. The silent generation, everybody was on the telephone. The baby boomers, they're watching TV. The Gen X, they are on, what are they doing? They're on internet. And then you have the millennials that are on uh, I guess also the internet. And then Gen Z is on social media. What the heck is Gen Alpha and Gen Beta going to do? Maybe, just thinking out loud, is it possible they could be in this like virtual reality space? I actually got a Meta Quest 3, by the way. That thing was freaky. That thing was kind of cool. But at the same time, like it is a real thing. I was in the metaverse. Finally, I've been part of the metaverse. I got to play in a bunch of stuff literally had like little people talking to me. I thought you had to be 10 years old. I'm literally saying, hey, you need to be 10. And the person was like 7 or 8. I'm like, okay, I'm going over here. I literally have a 7 and 8-year-old virtual avatar following me around. Finally gave it to my 10-year-old daughter and said, you can go ahead and talk about this because it's weird. Talk about don't talk to strangers, huh? Well, now you got to worry about virtual strangers. It's unfiltered. You can say what you want. Luckily, I'm a normal person, and the other person was a good kid. But man, what an unfiltered way of talking to strangers. God help us. And I've seen that also going back to the Gen Alpha and Gen Zs that, oh, by the way, are playing their Xbox and their PlayStations and having these conversations. How is all of this relate to personal finance? The question is what? It's technology and it's comfort and it's ease of accessibility. All I'm mentioning to you is you have to be aware of everything that's out there. Whether you're a business owner, new ways to market, whether you're an investor, new technology that's out there. One of the better investments I did because of my child was invest in Roblox. They're on Roblox all the time. They want to buy these, whatever they're buying with it. And so these are things that sometimes you should listen to your kids. I think it's a great idea to have a discussion of what cool technologies that are out there. Not so you can go buy it, And I'm sure as hell not recommending Roblox, the company loses millions of dollars a year, maybe billions of dollars. All I'm suggesting is open your mind to the future. Don't close your mind on technology. You're way too young to be thinking about that. So put yourself in a way where you can start to think of investing for the future. Not future like retirement, but literally investing for the future. This is having an index, having a portfolio, having a holdings that in fact have exposure to AI, to automation, to any other type of technology that's going to advance the world. Most people are not thinking this way. They're still investing in that S&P 500. And nothing is wrong with that because they have direct and indirect exposure to that already. But your portfolio matters, and it matters in many different ways because people who want to retire at 55, what worked for them last year might not work for them today, let alone tomorrow. So start to reevaluate your portfolio. Make it sure you're properly invested, diversified, having the proper exposure that you may need to get the returns that you're looking for. More importantly, for these social media financial advisors and for the people that are listening to them, to the Gen Zs out there, as I know I have a large following also in that group as well. Please, please, please be very wise, be very strategic, and be very smart. Take it for what it's worth. Just because somebody has 10,000 or 100,000 or a million followers, it doesn't mean they're a financial advisor, and it doesn't mean you should act on what they're saying. They're only sharing with you the winners, not the losers. There's somebody that I follow on there. I think his name is Dividend something. He's been preaching about United Healthcare and Google forever. He is down and still saying he's shocked it's down and putting every penny in there. He is now down when you compare it to the S&P 500, 40%. That is massive if you would have just invested in the index fund. But no, people are stubborn. People think they're smart, and people think that if it doesn't go their way, everybody else are idiots. This is something where I want to make sure you are not participating in. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every week. And we are just talking about these core concepts here in general of finance. And we've talked about the generations. We talked about what the younger generation is doing now, and they are comfortable with volatility. They are more knowledgeable about it, and they don't get phased. And I just want to make sure it's easy to say that now while you have 10,000 to 100,000, but how are you going to feel when you're at a million and your portfolio drops a few $100,000 in a year? That is a normal occurrence. And you have to know and continue on that discipline regardless of the dollar amount. Keep saving, keep investing, and don't worry about the volatility as it's normal. But I want to make sure that you, because I do follow these people as well, these social media financial advisors. One of them is considering selling everything and paying off their mortgage. Well, how does that make sense? What's your mortgage? And now you can't handle the volatility anymore? So what are you always going to do? Once you hit $1 million, what you're going to sell it and do what with it? A mortgage is one of the best financial tools to help you get rich. You're leveraging out and paying it over time and allowing your money to grow. And even if you're at a 6 to 7%, do you think your money can grow better than that? And by the way, 6 to 7% is also a write off for most of you. And if, in fact, that 6 to 7%, you can do better than that in the stock market over the next 30 years investing, then what are we really talking about here? Why in God's name would you look to pay it off? So beware of that. And for those, and I get this all the time, stop talking about home ownership. Well, I got an opinion for you. I'll take it a step further. It's a personal opinion. I'm thinking to myself, you got all these old people, right? These baby boomers. You had so many of them born from 1946 to 1964, almost 5 kids per married couple. And now we're at what, less than two? Well, naturally, those are going to get filtered, cycled. You're talking about people, what, 60 to 80 years old? What's going to happen to them in 20 years? Well, if you have 10,000 Americans turning 65 years old every single day for the next 15 years, that means what's going to happen in 20 years from now? You got a whole bunch of dead people. Well, what's going to happen when a whole bunch of dead people now have all these homes that are coming available? Well, what's that going to mean to you? For somebody who now is on the market to buy a house. There's a lot of people who bought their first house in their 40s, my parents being one of them. That means it's supply and demand. If there's an increased supply, demand goes down. So it's not always what you think. And I'll take it another step forward. Southern California has some of the weirdest real estate that's out there. I was just talking to somebody in Manhattan Beach and also talking to somebody with places in West LA. And you could have property there, seriously, like a 10 to $15 million place that's literally being rented out for 15 to 20,000 a month. Well, if you bought a $15 million place, you're going to be paying 15,000 a month just in property tax. That's old money. Now that old money has annual property taxes of $1,000 a year on a $15 million place. The law changed a few years back. Once the person who owns it now passes away, that property tax gets readjusted. They're not able to afford to rent out that home anymore for 15,000 because the property tax itself is 15,000. So real estate is about to change. In my opinion, over the next 20 years, I think we're going to see a peak of real estate for the next 30, 40 years because you're going to have a lot of people coming out and dying and needing something to do with the property, and it's going to be refiltered back into the market for you and I to potentially buy. So beware out there and don't put it in your head that you don't want to buy real estate. If right now it doesn't make sense, don't buy. No problem. But to say you're always going to be priced out, you're blaming the baby boomers for driving up the cost. They're going to be the reason you get the house of your dreams in 20 years, especially with prices, in my opinion. That was a fast show, folks. I want to thank you for tuning in with us this weekend. You can always reach out to myself or any one of our colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you can go and visit our Knowledge Center, which redirects you to YouTube. We have over 1 million views, folks. And if you want us to discuss anything on YouTube, on the show, whatever, send your inquiry to radio@falconwp.com. That's radio@falconwp.com. And if you want this episode, any one of our previous episodes, you can go on podcast, Spotify. We have them all there. And folks, we want to thank you for your trust. We want you to feel free and feel comfortable to reach out with any questions that you have. I want you to have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week, and God bless.